So, who is this man? Why does he appear on this special minting of a 10 NT dollar coin? Well, let me explain. Let me take you guys down what I think is a very interesting historical Taiwanese rabbit hole. This man is Chiang Wei Shui, a Taiwanese nationalist and political revolutionary, before it was cool and before it became mainstream, man. This park, which I am in and showing you footage of, is his park. It is named after him to honor him. More on that later, but enjoy the scenery as I tell you his story. Chiang was born in Ilan in eastern Taiwan on August 6, 1890, during the last years of Qing dynasty rule in Taiwan, before the Japanese invaded and took over in 1895. At the age of 10, he began receiving a classical Chinese education from a Confucian scholar in Ilan named Chiang Mao Cai. Later, he would go to medical school in Taipei. During his time at school, he began to get into revolutionary politics. He collected money for Sun Yat-sen's rebel army, and he joined the Chinese Revolutionary Party. These groups were fighting to overthrow the Qing dynasty and create a Republic of China. He was part of a plot to assassinate Yuan Shikai. Yuan Shikai was a Chinese warlord and politician who tried to revive monarchy in China, and who proclaimed himself the Hongshan Emperor. The plot did not go through though, but it doesn't matter since Yuan Shikai died not too long after his attempt to set up a new monarchy. Also during Zhang's time in school, he organized meetings with other students to promote revolutionary politics and to criticize Japanese rule over Taiwan. In 1915, he graduated from medical school second in his class, and he opened a clinic in Dadaochan, which is in Datong district in Taipei City. He also opened up a couple of restaurants. He would spend the next 5 years or so mainly focused on business and medicine. In 1921, he got involved with politics again when he founded the Taiwanese Cultural Association. The purpose of the group was to strengthen Taiwanese culture, educate Taiwanese people, and stop the Japanese colonial government from destroying Taiwanese culture through Japanese assimilation. He wrote during this time, and in one of his articles he said, Taiwan was like a sick patient who became that way because of knowledge malnutrition. His prescription for a cure was formal schooling, libraries, newspapers, and reading societies. The Taiwanese Cultural Association did many of these things until it split up in 1927. Zhang himself was active in a campaign to get Taiwan its own local assembly, a local government of its own within the Japanese Empire. For one of his political stunts, in advocating this, he was arrested, investigated, and ultimately spent 144 days locked in prison. He spent his time in prison reading and writing, and developing an interest in solving social problems. The Taiwanese Cultural Association grew and became even more popular due to the ongoing Japanese crackdown. The Taiwanese Cultural Association started newspapers and opened bookstores. Their influence and effect on people grew and grew. Ultimately, though, the Taiwanese Cultural Association would split into right and left camps. Zhang seemed to be somewhere in the middle. Along with several other former members of the Taiwanese Cultural Association, Zhang set up a new political party, the Taiwanese People's Party. Here is the original flag of the Taiwanese People's Party. It was the first legal political party to be founded in Taiwan. Zhang hoped to bring together workers, business people, and intellectuals to get Taiwanese people political power, a good standard of living, and to address social problems. In 1928, Zhang did a speaking tour of Taiwan to promote the Taiwanese People's Party's ideas. Also during this time, the TPP pushed to get opium addiction down by getting the Japanese to stop making and selling it. They also wanted to get addicts help in kicking their addiction. They actually did accomplish this goal by filing lawsuits and by getting the attention of newspapers around the world. Ultimately, the League of Nations sent an investigator to Taiwan to look into the issue. The pressure on the colonial Japanese government was too strong, and eventually they caved. There were, like in the Taiwanese Cultural Association, internal conflicts in the TPP. In 1928, the right-wing conservatives in the party, led by a man named Peng Hua-ying, left the party to form a new group called the Taiwanese Alliance for Home Rule. In 1929, after the split, the party got a new flag, and Chiang worked to reform the party. He wanted to work towards political freedom, for workers' rights, peasants, the urban proletariat, and all the oppressed. He wanted a strategy that combined class struggle and anti-colonial nationalism. The last big thing the TPP did was to challenge the Japanese on the cover-up of the Usha incident. The Usha incident was where Taiwanese aboriginals from the Sadiq tribe rebelled against the Japanese and fought a 2-month-long guerrilla campaign to get revenge for mistreatment, forced labor, and deep disrespect for their customs and way of life. Remember that movie Sadiq Bale or Sedeka Balai? It's about that. The rebellion failed, and during the crushing of it, the Japanese dropped mustard gas and bombs from planes onto the Aborigines. This was a violation of international law. The TPP sent out word to the Japanese government in Japan and to the international community. It led to the replacement of the Governor General of Taiwan. And by that point, the colonial government had had enough, being embarrassed on the international stage by the opium issue and mustard gas attacks, and looking at the party's drift towards more radical politics was too much for them to tolerate. In August of 1931, the Japanese colonial government forced the party to disband. Afterwards, Chiang continued to write and wanted to continue working towards his goals for Taiwan, but sadly he became ill with typhoid fever, and he passed away on August 5th at the age of 40. So, what happened after his death? Well, immediately afterwards, his funeral was held with thousands lining up to see his funeral procession go by. The movements that Chiang helped found became weak, and the Japanese tightened the screws and became more hardline in their rule as World War II approached. When the KMT took over Taiwan after World War II, they did the 228 massacre and the White Terror period, where there was martial law and people had no rights. People weren't allowed to research or learn about Chiang until the late 1970s. Because of this, Chiang had become a much less well-known historical figure, and I'm going to guess that a lot of people today in Taiwan know very little about him. Luckily, with the coming of democracy, things have started to change with Chiang and his legacy. In June of 2006, the, at the time, newly completed Taipei to Yilan Freeway was named as the Chiang Wei Shui Memorial Freeway, because of a proposal by Ma Ying-jeou, who was at the time the mayor of Taipei. In August of 2006, the park that I am showing footage of was renamed from Jinshi Park and converted to Chiang Wei Shui Memorial Park. The ceremony was attended by the then VP Annette Lu, then Premier Su Cheng-chang, and again then Taipei Mayor Ma Ying-jeou. Later in July of 2010, it was announced by Taiwan's central bank that they would mint a special 10 NT dollar coin to honor Chiang. That's what I led with on this video. And lastly, in October of 2015, Chiang Wei Shui's ashes were moved from a cemetery in Taipei near Liujiangli to a cemetery in Yilan called Cherry Blossom Cemetery. They even renamed a hill in the cemetery to Wei Shui Hill in his honor. So there you have it, guys. The story of Chiang Wei Shui, Taiwan's original nationalist hero. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed going down this historical rabbit hole with me. Thanks for watching. Please remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And until next time, guys, bye-bye.